Cardi B just dropped a bombshell exposing JT, calling out Offset, and sparking wild allegations about NFL star Stefon Diggs. But trust me, this story is way deeper than just rap beef. It's full of secrets, betrayals, and receipts you won't believe. On October 3, 2022, JT, who was still part of City Girls at the time, shared a tweet that stirred the pot. She hinted at a new collaboration, but her message had a sharper edge. In her words, she explained how she'd done countless remixes without ever being recognized on the charts, even though those versions were sung line for line and boosted the original songs just as intended. She contrasted that effort with others, taking aim by saying, "Unlike y'all," though quickly clarifying that she couldn't even say y'all, since, in her view, some people don't rap, they tweet. She wrapped up her post by congratulating Glorilla on the FNF remix and Nicki Minaj on the Queen mix. What really turned heads wasn't what JT said, it was what she didn't say. In her tweet, congratulating artists on their remixes, one glaring omission stood out. Cardi B. Cardi had been part of one of those very songs. Yet JT's message left her name out completely. That silence, in a world where fans dissect every word, was deafening. Almost instantly, people began speculating that JT's post was a subtle dig at Cardi. The internet thrives on tension, and the lack of acknowledgement was all it took to light a fire. Fans, blogs, and Twitter threads went into overdrive, debating whether it was a simple oversight or a calculated snub. The speculation didn't linger long, because Cardi B herself jumped right into the conversation. The very next day, she cut through the noise with a sharp two-word response: lapdog. It was short, dismissive, and designed to sting. Cardi didn't need to spell anything out, the subtext was clear. She was calling JT subservient, someone who followed orders rather than leading in her own right. JT wasn't about to let that slide. Within hours, she fired back with her own cutting retort: "I hope you don't think you know bully, wiener dog." In those few words, JT flipped Cardi's insult back on her, mocking her stature and undermining the idea that Cardi had any real power over her. It wasn't just a clapback, it was JT planting her flag, saying she wouldn't be intimidated or talked down to. From that point forward, the exchange only grew more personal. What started as a subtle slight had escalated into an all-out online brawl. JT jabbed again, telling Cardi to go fetch real talent, a line that implied Cardi's success depended on outside help rather than her own skill. She also accused Cardi of hiding behind private DMs while putting on a performance for her audience online, a way of saying that Cardi was two-faced, playing a role for the public while trying to handle things quietly in the background. For fans watching, it was like a tennis match, with each serve and volley growing sharper and more entertaining. But beneath the surface-level insults, this feud marked something deeper. It was the beginning of a very public rift between two women who both held significant influence in hip-hop. Their words weren't just shade, they were statements about authenticity, credibility, and power in an industry where image can make or break you. This wasn't just about two celebrities trading insults, it was about the fight for respect, relevance, and dominance in a competitive space where female rappers are often pitted against each other. The feud didn't just fade into the background either, it became a recurring storyline that resurfaced in unexpected ways. And it mattered, because JT's involvement tied her into a larger web of drama that extended far beyond Twitter. Cardi B, known for her unfiltered approach to social media, took things to another level not long after. She dropped an explosive message that shifted the narrative from petty insults to serious accusations. In her post, Cardi wrote that she wanted justice for them babies, a cryptic but heavy statement that hinted at deeply personal and painful issues. She accused JT's partner, rapper Lil Uzi Vert, of pressuring her into making difficult choices in the past, choices that, according to her, involved her pregnancies. This wasn't just celebrity gossip anymore. These were allegations that touched on themes of control, abuse of power, and reproductive rights, topics that resonated far beyond the hip-hop community. Cardi didn't stop there. She claimed that Uzi had once expressed strong emotions about not seeing someone named Brit in court, suggesting that there were legal and personal battles happening behind the scenes. By bringing Brit's name into the conversation, Cardi hinted at unfinished business and unresolved pain, things that fans could only speculate about but which added layers of tension to the story. To make matters worse, Cardi suggested she had receipts. She spoke of audio recordings and screenshots, evidence she could release at any moment to back up her claims. In today's culture, where screenshots can make or break reputations, that threat alone carried immense weight. Cardi wasn't just making accusations, she was saying she could prove them, and then, as if to twist the knife further, Cardi claimed Uzi had badmouthed ROC Nation, one of the most powerful entities in the music industry, labeling them ungrateful. That allegation wasn't just about Uzi and JT anymore, it was about taking shots at a major player in the business, potentially dragging others into the fray. For JT, this was a nightmare scenario. What began as a Twitter spat had ballooned into a storm that now involved her relationship, her partner's reputation, and even their ties within the industry. For Cardi, the feud became another opportunity to assert her dominance not just over JT, but over anyone who dared to challenge her publicly. What makes this feud so fascinating is how it encapsulates the dynamics of modern celebrity culture. Every slight, whether intentional or accidental, becomes magnified under the lens of social media. Every insult is dissected, memed, and amplified until it takes on a life of its own. Fans don't just watch, they participate, choosing sides, spreading narratives, and fueling the fire. In many ways, these feuds stop being just about the celebrities involved and start becoming community events, with millions of spectators invested in every twist and turn. The Cardi vs. JT clash also highlights the blurred line between personal and professional lives in the music industry. When Cardi accused Uzi of pressuring her and hinted at private struggles, she wasn't just taking a shot at JT's partner, she was pulling back the curtain on the deeply entangled relationships that shaped the rap world. The feud wasn't limited to music, it bled into personal choices, romantic entanglements, and even business alliances. At the heart of it though, the beef speaks to something even bigger: the way women in hip-hop are often forced into rivalries, whether they want to be or not. Every omission, every congratulations, every lyric, every tweet, fans and media alike frame it as a battle for the crown. And once the narrative of a feud takes hold, it becomes almost impossible to escape. In this case, JT and Cardi B weren't just two artists trading jabs, they became stand-ins for larger conversations about respect, authenticity, and accountability in the culture. Cardi's accusations against Uzi introduced themes of gender, power, and justice. JT's defensive responses and shade-laced comebacks spoke to the pressures of protecting her image, while also standing by her partner. Both women were fighting not just each other, but the weight of public perception. And perhaps the most striking part of it all is how unfinished the story feels, with allegations, threats of receipts, and hints of deeper secrets. The feud leaves audiences hanging, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. It's a reminder that in the age of social media, celebrity conflicts aren't just fleeting moments, they're ongoing sagas that play out like serialized dramas, keeping the world hooked. What began with a single omission in a tweet had spiraled into a full-blown narrative involving insults, allegations, partners, and powerful industry players. And as long as neither side backs down, the feud will continue to echo not just as a petty online squabble, but as one of those moments where music, culture, and personal lives collide in spectacular, messy fashion. At that point, with tensions boiling over, JT took to video to address the situation, directly pulling herself and Uzi into the center of a storm that was no longer just about music, but about personal lives and reputations.
Okay, y'all, I'm busy, but I gotta say one thing. This rat ass, right? This supposed to be a mother brim, and she threatening to snitch on somebody because she don't have anything to say about it. That's the loser. Wait, no, I got two things to say. So then she said, I'm gonna tell everybody nation what you said, what he said. No, not just that. The trying to spread fake tea about a when she stood her illiterate ass in front of millions of people and said she stands for pro-choice. Drops bomb. I can't take the serious. I can't take the.
At this stage, the tension between JT and Cardi B hasn't cooled down. In fact, it continues to simmer in real time. Each new post, each subtle like or retweet, adds fuel to the fire. Fans are glued to their timelines, dissecting every move as though they're watching a live sporting event. But while this feud between two of hip-hop's most visible women dominates the conversation in the music world, another controversy is quietly brewing in an entirely different arena: professional sports. Enter Tasha K, the polarizing blogger and media personality who's no stranger to stirring up scandal. Known for her bold, sometimes reckless approach to celebrity gossip, Tasha has built a reputation for digging into people's personal lives and exposing secrets that many would prefer to keep hidden. She has clashed with Cardi B before, even finding herself in court after Cardi successfully sued her for defamation. That history makes her involvement in this moment especially significant. To Tasha K, taking a dig at anyone connected to Cardi feels like unfinished business, and now she has fresh material. This time, Tasha isn't talking about rappers, reality stars, or she's stepping into the world of the NFL. During a recent interview, she sat down with an individual who claims to have filed serious allegations against Buffalo Bills wide receiver Stefon Diggs. For fans of football, this is a bombshell. Diggs isn't some obscure player. He's a household name, a Pro Bowler known for his incredible talent on the field. His reputation, up until this point, has largely been about athleticism, competitiveness, and occasional headlines for his flashy lifestyle. But Tasha's interview threatens to reshape that image. The allegations being discussed aren't minor. They strike at the heart of both his personal and professional identity. According to the person Tasha interviewed, Diggs has been involved in behavior that calls into question not only his character but potentially his career. Suddenly, the conversation shifts from lighthearted Twitter feuds to something far heavier. Allegations that could ripple across sports media, legal systems, and fan culture. For JT and Cardi's ongoing feud, this parallel controversy is more than just background noise, intersects with their world in subtle yet significant ways. Gossip ecosystems don't operate in isolation. When drama erupts in one corner of celebrity culture, it often bleeds into others, creating a web of interconnected storylines that fans and bloggers latch onto. In this case, the mention of Stefon Diggs ties into existing whispers about Cardi's personal life, Offset's frustrations, and JT's own attempts to defend her partner. To understand why this new controversy matters, we have to zoom out and look at the players involved. Tasha K, for one, thrives on chaos. After losing her high-profile court battle with Cardi B, a case that left her owing millions in damages, she has only doubled down on her role as a provocateur. For her, exposing damaging information about someone even remotely tied to Cardi isn't just content, it's personal. Every headline she generates is also a form of revenge. So when she sits down with someone making claims against Stefon Diggs, it's not just an interview, it's a calculated strike in a larger war of narratives. On the other hand, Diggs is caught in the crossfire of something he may or may not even be directly connected to. Allegations, once public, have a way of snowballing. Even before details are confirmed, the mere association with controversy is enough to damage reputations. Fans begin speculating, sponsors get nervous, and sports networks circle like sharks waiting for blood in the water. Diggs, who has spent years cultivating an image as both a top-tier athlete and a marketable star, now finds himself entangled in a gossip storyline that threatens to overshadow his performance on the field. And let's not forget the cultural implications of these overlapping scandals. In hip-hop, feuds like the one between JT and Cardi are often framed as entertainment, albeit with real consequences for the people involved. In sports, however, allegations of misconduct carry different weight. They can lead to suspensions, fines, or even the end of a career. The intersection of these two worlds, the spectacle of rap beef and the seriousness of NFL scandals, creates a striking contrast. One moment fans are laughing at insults about wiener dogs and lap dogs, and the next they're grappling with disturbing claims that could alter the trajectory of an athlete's life. This duality reflects the way celebrity culture works in 2025. Boundaries between industries have blurred, and scandals no longer stay confined to their original context. A rapper's feud might bleed into sports gossip, which in turn gets amplified by bloggers, then dissected by fans across TikTok and YouTube. Each platform adds its own spin, turning real people's conflicts into content for mass consumption. Tasha K, with her history of weaponizing gossip, understands this dynamic better than most. By positioning herself at the center of the Stefon Diggs controversy, she's not just reporting, she's orchestrating, ensuring her name stays tied to the drama that keeps audiences hooked. But what about JT and Cardi in all this? Their feud doesn't exist in a vacuum, either. For Cardi, whose brand has always been tied to her raw honesty and willingness to clap back, the Diggs situation complicates things. If people begin linking her name to the allegations, whether fairly or not, she'll have to respond. Her silence would be read as guilt, her words as further fuel for speculation. For JT, the overlap between her feud with Cardi and this growing Diggs scandal adds another layer of stress. It's not just about defending herself anymore. It's about navigating a narrative where every new headline, no matter how unrelated, feels like part of the same war. The timing also matters. At a moment when Cardi and JT are going back and forth, the sudden injection of Diggs into the story creates a sense of escalation. It's no longer just about two women exchanging insults. Now, it's about who has the power to expose whom, who has receipts, and who can survive the onslaught of public opinion. In that sense, the Diggs allegations become another weapon in the arsenal of online feuding ammunition for blogs, gossip accounts, and fans who thrive on the drama. There's also a deeper, more troubling element here. The way these stories get consumed says a lot about how audiences view celebrity culture. For some, it's entertainment, a never-ending soap opera where the lines between fact and rumor blur together. But for the people at the center of it, JT, Cardi, Diggs, and even Offset, the stakes are very real. Reputations, careers, and personal lives hang in the balance. What fans treat as memes or juicy Twitter threads are actually battles that could determine the future of livelihoods and legacies as the dust continues to settle. One thing is clear: the overlap between JT and Cardi's feud and Tasha K's interview about Stefon Diggs isn't just coincidence. It's part of the chaotic, interwoven nature of modern fame, where no scandal exists in isolation. Each new revelation, each new accusation, becomes part of a larger web that keeps fans engaged but leaves the people involved under relentless scrutiny. For now, the feud rages on. JT and Cardi continue to spar in public, their words dissected like scripture by millions of followers. At the same time, Tasha K's bombshell interview threatens to drag an NFL star into the mud, shifting public attention from music beef to sports controversy. And hanging over it all is the knowledge that in this era, scandals don't end, they evolve, morphing into new forms, feeding off each other, and keeping audiences locked in for the next chapter.
Attempted to have me unalived because of him making a sexual pass at me. It wasn't the sexual pass that frustrated me the most. What made me most frustrated was the fact that he tried to unalive me after it, when in reality, even though I was drugged, even though I was violated, I never thought that the next step would be my life being threatened because you got turned down. But it's that power complex of wanting what you want when you want it, feeling like you own the things that you pay.
Him, I guess, allegedly making a pass at you.
Right.
Like, how did that go?
We used to do dumb things like when we went to the strip club, we would take the jelly beans, swap the bag out. We put them in the Skittles. He's offering me candy. I'm really thinking it's on something like, man, you trying to play with me? No, I don't want to do that. Because we've done it before. And now it's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Man, give me a piece. So he gives me a piece of the candy. And what happened to me after that was not...
At this point, the feud between Cardi B and JT is still heating up, adding fuel to the fire. Blogger Tasha K, who's already known for her rocky history with Cardi, posted a tweet amplifying the situation. JT then jumped in with her own reaction, calling the whole thing insane and stressing that gay men deserve protection. She claimed the matter wasn't being taken seriously enough, then went further by accusing Cardi's partner, Offset, of being gay not because of his fashion or self-expression, but because another man, Chris, had allegedly said so himself. JT ended her message by stating, "Justice for Chris. I stand with the gays." This statement sparked deeper conversation, because it tied into old controversies surrounding city girls. In the past, JT had made problematic remarks about the LGBTQ community, including derogatory slurs dating back to 2018. Those comments resurfaced, with critics pointing out that her track record undermined her attempt to position herself as an ally. Meanwhile, speculation grew around NFL player Stefon Diggs. Rumors began circulating online that Cardi B had allegedly been involved with Diggs while pregnant with Offset's child. Offset himself seemed to fan the flames by reportedly telling someone to go bother the gay guy, which many interpreted as a dig aimed at Diggs. On top of that, boxing star Gervonta Davis also chimed in, hinting at Chris's claims and suggesting Diggs was secretly living a gay lifestyle. The situation grew even messier when allegations against Diggs surfaced in the form of an official complaint. The documents included disturbing claims of misconduct ranging from robbery to inappropriate advances and appeared to back up Chris's accusations. Unlike rumors that could be dismissed as hearsay, this time there were police reports and legal filings, which gave the claims more weight. For Cardi, this painted a complicated picture. She had left Offset only to be linked with Diggs, who not only faced rumors about his sexuality but also serious allegations about his behavior. For Offset, the situation looked like a double betrayal. After investing his time, money, and reputation in Cardi, he was left watching her get dragged into even more scandal. And that's where things stand. A messy blend of personal feuds, old grudges, and new controversies that have left fans asking what's true, what's exaggerated, and what this means for everyone involved.